welcome to Supper with Stella. Today we're going to be making a cranberry bread. Might do muffins out of them, we'll see. We'll see once I get it all put together what I feel like doing, whether I want to do a loaf pan or muffins. It's enough to make a standard loaf pan, which is what I've always done in the past, but muffins are just so convenient for breakfast, just to grab one and go. And this is a fairly healthy version. What I did was I took an old family recipe that called for your traditional white flour and sugar and butter and all of that, and I made a few substitutions to make this something that I, feel a little healthier about eating every day. So I'm gonna get started by just adding, I'm gonna mix all of this in one bowl. I'm gonna get started by just doing all of my dry ingredients in one bowl. So I'm gonna do 2 cups, and I've got a little half cup measure. My full cup is dirty, so I'm gonna do 2 cups, or 1 cup, of whole wheat flour, and then 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And then to that, I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Just making sure got these correct. And 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And 1 teaspoon of salt. And then just give it a whisk. The original recipe, again, it's an old family recipe out of an old family cookbook, and it says to sift, but generally I just whisk them together when it says that. Okay. So all my dry ingredients there. Now for my wet ingredients. So I am substituting out sugar with maple syrup. The butter, actually it calls for shortening, I'm gonna use applesauce for, and I am gonna add just a little bit of coconut oil in there. I really like the flavor that coconut oil brings to breads or any kind of baked good that has fruit in it as well. I just think it tastes really delicious. And those are my only substitutions, is the maple syrup and the applesauce. Just a 1/4 cup. Don't want to fit. 1/4 cup of applesauce. And it calls for 1 cup of sugar. I am going to do 1/2 cup of maple syrup. I'm just going to spray this so it comes out easily. Got a beaten egg. And it says 1 teaspoon of grated orange peel. I've got some mandarins, so I am just gonna peel one up, or zest one up. And then we're gonna do some fresh juice as well. And always remember, you want to make sure to wash your citruses before you zest them. And then I want 3/4 cup of juice. So I've just got my 1 cup measure. Okay, 3/4 cup of juice, and that took 5 mandarins to get that. All right, so I've got my dry ingredients, got my wet ingredients. Want to give it a whisk, especially help break that coconut oil up, just because it is, probably should have melted it, but it's breaking up pretty well. it's fall, so it's kind of cool in the house. Okay, and I want to add a cup of cranberries, and I'm going to chop these up. Which I'll probably just do a little at a time so they don't roll everywhere. And these are fresh cranberries. You could use frozen cranberries or, you know, a fruit that freezes just super, super well. So if you wanted to use frozen, you certainly could, but we do want to do a fairly rough chop on these. So I am just going to use my knife. It'd be much easier to process them in a food processor, but then you're going to get like cranberry pulp instead of chopped cranberries. And some of these are really small. Don't really need much of a chop at all. And I'll just throw them into the wet. So now I'm just going to add wet to dry, and I'm going to combine with a spatula. All right, and you just want it to come together. I don't want to overmix, you know, you don't want to overmix your glutens. But you do want to make sure your cranberries are pretty evenly dispersed. That's the only thing that you're going to have trouble. And the original recipe called for nuts as well. I don't really care for nuts in banana bread, or this isn't banana bread, sorry, in breakfast breads. So I just left them out. But you could definitely do pecans, walnuts, really any kind of nut that you wanted would be great in here, if that's your thing. And I decided I am going to do muffins. As I said, I haven't done muffins with this before. I've only done loaves, so I'm just gonna grease 9 little cubby holes and muffin holes and see how far this goes. I bet it's gonna make 12. And I'm just gonna do an even ice cream scoop into each one. So just flat across the top. This is definitely gonna do 12. It might actually do more. I am going to bake these. So the loaf I usually bake, it says 40-45 minutes. Nope, I'm sorry. The loaf I usually do for 60 minutes. There is an option on here to do like mini loaf pans, which you bake for a shorter amount, being 40 to 50. So what I'll do is I'm just going to bake these at 350 for 20 minutes. And then I'm just going to check on them. And then I can note, you know, in this recipe, how long it took for me to do the to do the muffins. So once these are baked and ready to go, I'll pull them out and I'll meet you back here. All right, so I let my cranberry muffins bake for 20 minutes. Checked them, they were a little gooey inside still, so they went maybe 22, 23 minutes. A lot of that's just gonna depend on the type of oven you're using and whatnot. So here they are. Already ate one. And they're good. I would probably do just a tad more sweetener next time. I used the original recipe called for a cup of sugar, and I substituted it with half a cup of maple syrup. In the past, I've done 3/4 cup maple syrup, but it's being kind of cheap, and only did half a cup, but 3/4 cup is probably what I should have done, but I will reflect that in the recipe below. So this was just a healthier version of some cranberry bread that was a family recipe. And I'll post both recipes below so you can decide which one you want to use. Thanks so much. Bye.